how many lights can you see in the trees? How many you find a stick? And I literally resorted to playing fetch with her. So that was a low in terms of.
I don't know. It's high for me.
Hi, I'm Matt. I'm a 30-something with a 4-year-old stepdaughter and a newborn baby.
And I'm Daniel. I'm a 30-something, and I've had kids for a while, ranging from toddlers to teens.
Well, hello, and thank you for tuning in again to another episode of Ramblings of Dadmen. Welcome to Season 2. I'm Matt, once again, and as always, joined by Dan. Dan, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm still Dan. Yeah, good. You?
We're still here, and we're still really enjoying it, so thank you for listening. And Dan, I don't know if you've been listening to if you've been reading our Instagram messages, but someone's offered us $3 million to be marketing with him. Have we looked into this?
Is he a Ugandan uncle by any chance?
He has 340 followers and 5 posts.
Pinch of salt.
Yeah, we're becoming famous.
Yeah.
Or maybe not.
No.
Yeah, maybe not.
Not yet.
How have you been in the podcasting world? It's been 2 weeks since we've talked. In the real world, it's been 24 hours.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, no, we're good. Everyone's back in school tomorrow, so that's back to normality, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm back to the grind tomorrow. Flossie's got an extra 2 days off, so she's not back until Thursday, which I don't understand really, because why would you just go in Thursday, Friday? But
teacher training or something.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah. So that means that I'm back in at work, so Becky has got to deal with 2 annoying little kids for the next 2 days on her own.
Instead of 3.
It's instead of 3, yeah. Yeah, she's got a break. So yeah, it will go back to normal, I guess.
So what have you been up to for the last couple of weeks?
Well, today Robin is now 5 weeks old. We've obviously had a little thing in between called Christmas. We've had quite a quiet Christmas. Fossie was away with her dad this year, so they were down with his family in London. So we actually had quite a quiet Christmas day because, Christmas is for kids really, isn't it? So Robin is 5 weeks old, so she doesn't realise what's going on. So it's a little bit different. So we had to spread our Christmas out a little bit differently. So I think we mentioned that Becky's dad came down from Wales the week before. We spent some time at my mother's on Christmas Eve. We had like a family buffet on Christmas Eve. Christmas Day, we spent some time over at Becky's mum's. We spent a few days there, actually. We were only meant to spend the 1 day there, but tiredness and beer. So we ended up staying 3 days there. And then my dad came down to visit us over Christmas at ours. So we've had quite a quiet one. But because Flossie has been away, we've had like a staggered Christmas, let's say, because we celebrated Christmas on the 19th, the 24th, 25th, and the 28th, really. Robin's starting to develop a little bit more. She's put on weight. Just before Christmas, she's £6.10.
I think everyone's put on weight over Christmas.
Me especially. I mentioned to it yesterday. We discussed how I had a cheese hangover. I never realised this was a thing, but I think I ate my own weight in salt and cheese and calcium, and wasn't a good situation the day after.
But upshot, you've got really strong bones now.
I thought you said colon. Where's that going? So how about you? How was your Christmas?
Yeah, good. Like you said, a little bit quiet. Christmas Day, we actually had to wake Georgia up as opposed to being woken up at 5, 6 o'clock in the morning by a very excited child. Not to say she wasn't excited. Beck had sort of given her, not a warning as such, but she'd sort of said to her a couple of days earlier, just have a lie in. You're going to have a few late nights. Just make sure you stay in bed and get your sleep. And I think she's taken that literally to mean every day she does that. So Christmas Day, she was so polite. Like she literally, I woke up and I was like, oh, what time is it? All right. Georgia, are you awake? She's like, yeah, I'm here. and then come bounding in. And yes, we did the whole Christmas thing. And then Boxing Day, as you just said then, I think we ended up on a food hangover. We just ate that much Christmas Day, Boxing Day, and then all those days in between that no one actually knows what day it is. And then New Year's again was a quiet one. We just sort of stayed at home, didn't do anything too extravagant. Just sort of spent it together as a family, really. So relatively quiet, but I actually feel as though I've benefited massively from that.
Yeah.
Having a solid break and just spending time together as a family.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. I was mentioned to one of my old work colleagues. She gave me a text and she said, "How's things going? How's your first Christmas not working for the job?" And I've said, this is the first time I haven't thought about work for a substantial amount of time. So yeah, this has been really different for me. So quiet, but I think it's been well needed after a weird year in terms of the whole world, but a really special year in terms of us having a human as well. It's just different. New Year's Eve was similar to us. Flossie was staying at a nana's, and I think we went to my mother's just to do Christmas Day with Flossie on New Year's Eve. That's right, because she still hadn't opened her presents, and we were like eyes in our matchsticks at that time. Like when we went to my mum's, and she was like screaming at us, and you should go get some sleep and take turns, because obviously Robin is not sleeping throughout the night. Well, she is sleeping throughout the night. She's a bit better, but you know what it's like. They're up quite a bit. So Flossie had she went to a light show with a nan, and we had a takeaway and relaxed, watched Jules Holland, and we were in bed by 12:10. So
at least you saw the new year.
Well, we did, but that was only because Robin was awake. So, recommendations. Now,
we've still not got a jingle for this, and I'm quite disappointed. We've come back, and everyone's expecting greatness now. This is like Series 2, or Season 2, or Episode 21, however you want to badge this up. We've still no super jingle.
Yeah, we should be a little bit more professional, shouldn't we? Because this is the second season, but...
But fuck it. We're just going to go in with Matt and Dan's recommendations. Still no jingle.
We'll fix this in the edit. And if you get that, if you hear a jingle in the edit, we've bothered to learn something. So, yeah. But what I wanted to know, and we did briefly speak about this yesterday, but for our podcast fans who have heard you talk about it for weeks and weeks, how was The Matrix?
I think that noise sums it up. I don't want to give spoilers out. It was just okay. I can't really say much more than that, really. It was everything you'd expect from a Matrix film, with the groovy music, the heavy bass lines, and the fight scenes. Honestly, I went into the first 45 minutes of it not having a fucking clue what was going on.
Really?
I genuinely hadn't got a clue what the plot was, like what was real and what was not. So maybe that's the sign of a good film, because that was their intention. I don't know. It was good. I'm definitely glad I went watching it. It's not something I'm in a hurry to go and watch again. Didn't like the ending. It's very much a love story. The trilogy is. It's all about Neo and Trinity, and that's very much what they've done with this film. There's a lot of stuff going on in the news about it not making. It's not the start of another trilogy, and I think that's fair. That would just degrade what Matrix is. But it's worth a watch at least once.
Okay.
That's my recommendation. Whether that's the cinema or you wait till it comes out on Netflix or other streaming services are available.
It sounds like one that we'll watch when it streams.
It's just all right. Don't know. There was something missing, I think. I don't know what that was. I had all sorts of theories going into it. What was going to happen after watching all the trailers and being that sad guy who watched them at quarter speed just to try and pick up on little bits. But yeah.
That's something you never mentioned before.
You can't predict it. It's just good. It's just a bit of action film. It's an easy watch. So that's that.
Well, we'll probably give it a go. Although that means that Becky needs to watch the first 3, and I don't think she's looking forward to that.
Definitely watch the first 3. I think that's the first one's good. The second and they're different, and like the first one's more of like a coming of age type film. It's him realizing that he's Neo. The second one's very much an action film, and the third one's more of a war film.
Yeah, I think if memory serves, I mean, you must have shown me the first one, but I'm pretty sure the next two I went to watch at the cinema. So I'll give it a watch. But this is not so much a recommendation. I mean, this is a recommendation from you to. Okay, let me explain. Becky has a watch list on Netflix. One of the watch lists, like, you know, when you've got a film, when it's on your watch list and you're like, oh, I don't really fancy that. I'll watch it at some point. It always gets left to the back of the queue. So Becky has one of them, and I say to her, we need to watch this. It's one of the films that you should watch. It's up there. You need to watch it. And she's like, yeah, but meh. So I'm hoping that when she listens to this, you might be able to help her out. That film is called Gladiator.
You've got to be in the mood for that.
I agree. You have to be in the mood for it. And it's 2.5 hours that you need to, like...
build yourself up for. Yeah.
But it's a great film.
I'd rather watch 300.
See, I wasn't a fan of that.
And that's probably controversial. There's probably all sorts of people now just screaming and shouting and throwing the phones and
just
calling me a dickhead. Yeah. Fucking hashtag dance a dick. Do we even use hashtags anymore? I don't know. But yeah, Gladiator's good. It's an epic. It's not one I'd watch on repeat. If you'd have said Braveheart, I would have strongly agreed. That one is the film that keeps on giving.
I would agree. Again, though, that's another 3.5 hour epic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's about 3 hours, but you don't feel as though you're watching something for 3 hours with Braveheart. With Gladiator, there's quite a few slow bits in it building up to all that, and then there's just the one line. Oh, there's two in there. Are you not entertained?
Yes.
And then the bit that I can never remember about Maximus Decimus Meridius,
that's
father
the one.
to a fallen son, husband to a murdered wife, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
I mean, you did that fairly well.
It was close. It's completely not right, but it's worth a watch. I'd say it's a Friday night kind of film.
Well, anyway, that leads me on to my next recommendation, which is an off-spin of an older film. We've always talked about how my favourite films are the 80s films. Becky's favourite films are not the 80s films. But the new series has just come out of Cobra Kai. Did you ever get into that?
So I watched the first and second series, and then it just felt very samey. I loved the nostalgia, the names, the people that came back into it, and the way that the storylines were mixing up. The first series did feel like just the first film. And then the second series just sort of merged a little bit, and then Kreese reappearing. Oh, great, this is cool. I know the premise of the fourth series, that it's Silver that's come back. Callum's watched the third and fourth series. I've started the third series, not finished it. Callum's blitzed it all in already.
Yeah, we've nearly blitzed it.
He came down and started telling me about this guy, he's got grey hair, and they come. I'm like, you've never seen the films. But that is basically the third film. Please tell me they've done the scene where they get Daniel or one of the kids or whoever, and there's a wooden dummy, and he makes him or her punch or kick that. It's like, no, I don't remember that. Oh, fuck it. What a missed opportunity.
I know there is flashbacks to that. I mean, if you've already told Callum, there's no spoilers. There's flashbacks to it, but so far it hasn't happened. Although there is a funny bit in this series where Danny's wife says to him when Silver comes back and says, "Is there anybody else that's going to come back from your past that we don't know of?" And then he goes, "No." And then he's like, "Well, maybe." So it's just a very clear there's going to be another guest star at some point. Again, I like it for the nostalgia. I think the fourth series has been better than the third, to be honest with you. Recommend it. Yeah, give it a watch once you've got the third one down, I guess.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm still working my way through, what's it called? Ozark.
Oh, right, okay.
It's just easy watching. Tell you something, it's like an anti-recommendation. I don't know, I'm sort of sat on the fence again. Don't Look Up on Netflix.
Oh, yeah, we watched that as well.
I just was not impressed with that at all. I like the science. I thought it was a good way to end it.
Yeah.
I just didn't like the script and the film.
I think there was a lot of like symbolism and hidden meanings. Well, not so much hidden meanings, but a lot of like content within the script that was there was a lot of stuff in the film that was reference to modern day world anyway, wasn't it? It was more like symbolism rather than the actual film. So I get it. I know what you mean. It's not brilliant, but I think that's not what it was intended for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I get what you mean. It didn't grip me.
Yeah, and I know what you mean. It was just, I think I read a review about it. It was just 2 hours of A-Lab celebrities shouting at each other for
Pretty much.
2 hours. And that's kind of what it was, wasn't it?
I concur.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell you what we had, though. Semi-recommendation. Fuck it, let's go with it. Let's classify this as a recommendation. Biltong and cheese cubes.
Oh,
my God. Like, just little tiny chunks of it, and then I cubed up some very small 0.5 centimeter cubes of like fiery Mexican cheese. Mouthful of each of them, just with some olives. It's a whole other dimension of food. That sort of got me through a few films over Christmas.
I absolutely love biltong, and I absolutely love like a spicy Mexican cheese.
How are you getting on with Vikings?
We haven't watched any over Christmas.
What a disappointment.
I think we've got up to the bit where Ivor and King Harold are starting to go to war with Kattegat. And Edge of WWE fame is now in it, and he's gone to Iceland with Floki. That's kind of where we're up to. I think the last episode that we're on, they were all in the little volcanic.
I know exactly where you're up to. Okay. Well, yeah, so you're making progress.
So we're going to get up to it, but I mean, to be honest, we haven't had time to sit down for a couple of hours at a time and get into a good few episodes, because you can't just watch one episode of Vikings, can you?
Well, I did.
Well, you did, but you were doing it 7 days apart. So we will complete that, but we have had a bit of a lull from it.
Well, a couple of things to watch out for before we kick on. This month sees the release of Scream 5, so time to brush up on Scream 1 to 4.
Okay.
And Afterlife Season 3 comes out.
I have seen Afterlife is coming out. So
Very excited for that.
Sounds good.
But apparently this is going to be the last series.
He doesn't do very many series, doesn't he? He likes to... It was the same with The Office, and say he only does a couple of episodes, a couple of series at a time, doesn't he? Because he doesn't want to overkill it.
Yeah, but they said it's going to bring it to a natural conclusion on this one. So that's good. I think it's time for it, but I am looking forward to seeing how they conclude it, whether they give him a nice ending.
Or they don't give him a nice ending.
Yeah, it could go either way.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
He could fuck it all up. So, we've got a good couple of weeks under our belt at this point. Parenting highs and lows.
I think it's a bit of a cop-out and a bit of a weak one. But in terms of parenting highs, Flossie has really enjoyed Christmas. I think over 2 weeks of her opening presents and going on all these adventures. It's been really nice to see that. That's been a real high. Obviously, you came down yesterday. Watching her play with Georgia was another high. It's just great to see that the kid's getting on so well. But another high is that how well Robin is progressing. She's doing well. She's putting on weight. She's starting to, have more head control than ever. And, she's starting to notice things a little bit more. Apparently what I found out is that babies have something called leaps. So after every couple of weeks or so, they'll go into leap 1, leap 2, leap 3. Yeah. So she's just going into leap 1. And this is all that she's developed to head control, which she's been good at for a couple of weeks. In fact, by the time she was 3 days old, she had a really good head control. She was a freak of nature. I don't know. Is there a bodybuilder, but just for the neck?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Headbutting things.
Yeah. And I can confirm that she is, at 5 weeks old, headbutting me at all opportunities. But yeah, just she's focusing on you. And it sounds really soppy, but once a baby looks at you in the eyes for the first time and tries to, really focus on you, and it breaks my heart, to be honest. There's nothing else like it, I guess, is there?
Yeah, I think it's from around 4 weeks that they can see about 30 centimetres in front of them.
Yeah.
The vision gradually gets better from there. So, She can't see you from across the room. And Beck used to like proper have a pop at me for this, but I used to think around that age that she was smiling at me, and she used to remind me that I think it's again we had a similar app, but it's a couple of months before they start smiling. And Beck took great pleasure in telling me that she's probably just shitting herself.
I did have her on. You know, she's not been in the greatest of moods today, but we gave her a bit of a bath this evening. I sat her down on my chest, and she likes like being propped up. Like, say if you were lie down on your bed and you had your knees propped up, she likes being in that kind of gap, for want of a better word. She likes being sat up. And she looked at me with the most cross-eyed look today, and then shat on me for a good 48 seconds. But suddenly, her mood was fantastic. But yeah, in terms of parenting lows, and this is an asking for advice thing, and I think from both me and Becky, to be honest. A couple of days ago, we went for a walk, and it just turned into an unmitigated disaster. Robin was crying throughout the walk. Becky hadn't had any lunch. We ended up going for this walk in a local park. They were all crying all the way through. We managed to get to like a little cafe where Becky was like, I need a coffee and I'm going to get something for Floss to eat. So Becky decided to queue up. We were going to sit down with the baby who was screaming. And I don't know if you ever felt like this, but I kind of felt a little bit, not so much embarrassed, but like no one else should have to listen to this.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, so we kind of decided, I mean, we were outside, but it was quite busy. So we kind of decided, well, I'll just walk away down to the gardens and like we'll sit on a bench somewhere and we'll figure it out and hopefully we'll calm her down. So I had Flossie with me and I had Robin with me. Robin was non-stop crying. Becky was in this queue for what seemed like forever. I had to deal with trying to entertain Flossie and trying to console Robin at the same time, you know, and it was just really difficult. And I mean, Flossie was really good about it, but we were playing games like, how fast can you run 50 meters and back? You know, how many lights can you see in the trees? How many you find a stick? And I literally resorted to playing fetch with her. So that was a low in terms of.
I don't know. It's high for me.
Yeah. One of the things that we've had to adapt to is you've got one child that wants your attention, and you know you've met Floss. She's very high demanding. She likes lots of questions. She like on Becky. She absolutely dotes on her. She absolutely loves her. So she wants to be with her mum all the time. And then you've got Robin, who needs to be with her or needs all this love and attention, and she's crying every 15 minutes. Today we resorted into Becky going to the shops to get a couple of things, and I ended up taking Robin out for a 5-mile walk. Maybe it was quite a bit of a walk, while she split up and took Flossie to the supermarket. That's been a particular low for us, I guess. But one of the questions is, how do you deal with trying to give all your attention to the kids?
Don't have more than one kid.
Yeah.
No, it is hard. I mean, it's a delicate balance. There's no right, there's no wrong. But you have to sort of juggle your time between them and sort of prioritise who needs you. Kids don't understand that you're in the middle of doing something. They want your attention there and then. So it's sort of a bit of them learning boundaries. I suppose the only thing you could do sort of proactively is a little bit like what you did, but plan that in a bit more. So like Becky planned to take Flossie shopping once a week, and that's time for just them two. It's time for just you and Robin.
Yeah.
You could factor in, you take Flossie to the park once a week, and that's time for, that one-on-one. It is hard. It does get easier.
I tell you what, something that we'd have bought. I mean, I don't know if you've seen them. They're like slings, but it's like a massive scarf really that you tie around you. You slide the baby right in the front, and that's been quite good bonding time because I mean you've seen with Robin, she likes to be quite. I mean, effectively, she likes to be back in the womb. that's her position though, isn't it? It's quite squashed up, and that's how she likes it. So this sling kind of puts her back, and that means that I can do some stuff. And that's been quite a little bonding moment where I guess it's like Becky being pregnant. She's carried her for 9 months, so I've carried her for 5 weeks. I guess. Does that sound a bit corny? Yeah.
Right, I've done my 5 weeks, love. Come on, your turn.
yeah. We're into Elite One now. It's your turn now, love.
That app was an absolute godsend when Georgia was younger. We probably didn't find that until she was about 2 or 3 leaps in. Very much like you said, where we sort of found a pattern that she was good for a bit, be a shit house for a bit. She was not a shit house, not purposely naughty, but nangy and just miserable and crying a lot. And then when I looked into it, I stumbled across that app, downloaded it, and you could almost predict when she was going to be good and when she was going to be tested.
Yeah.
Whoever's the science guy behind that app, it wants an absolute medal.
I agree. From this app, this has prepped us that this week is going to be particularly difficult. And so far, it's bob on.
I like how they give it the storm clouds as well, though.
Yeah.
You get the storm clouds for the shithouse weeks. And I forget which one it is, but there's one that's like 3 weeks. I was like, fucking, can I just move out for a bit?
Yeah. This is done. I'm not doing with this.
But having that foresight of what was to come, and you understand why they're going through that, it does help massively because you can plan and prepare and make sure you're in a comfortable setting, when they're in a testing time. So we got a lot of value out of that app. Whoever's developed it can have a Ramblings of Dad Men medal.
Yeah, a Ramblings of Dad Men recommendation.
Yeah.
How about your highs and lows then? How's the past couple of weeks for you?
Like you said, I mean, there's some general stuff like it's nice to. Christmas is all about the kids and seeing the stuff that Santa's brought them and seeing them react to that. One of the weird things that Georgia randomly asked for was a pogo stick. What fucking kid decides top of my list is a pogo stick other than the Pogo World Champion 2021?
Maybe that's what she wants to be.
Maybe, but she will not use it unless I'm holding it. So her version of using a pogo stick is her jumping up and down in it with my arms under her arms to give her that stability. And I think the big high for me was New Year's Eve. We spent a lot of time together as a family, and we had a solid game night. We played board games, we played Monopoly, and this year was probably the first time that we've played Monopoly and let Georgia play as her own character.
Right,
Normally she teams up with me or Beck, but she played on her own and she actually won.
Wow.
She was really good, fucking ruthless. So that was good. But then we played some other games, and it was just wholesome, I suppose, is the best way of putting it.
Yeah.
And that, them's the kind of nights that you look forward to as a parent. Everyone's laughing and smiling, and that's where you feel like you're succeeding in life without wanting to sound too grown up. And so that was definitely my high. It was really good. It was nice to see. The low, I suppose, comes from the opposite end of that spectrum, where the tiredness, as I mentioned before, we sort of said to George to try and sleep in. She did for a bit, but then when we sort of let her know that as of Christmas, she didn't necessarily need to do that. She started getting up a little bit earlier. And she had a few late nights, as you do. You've seen family, you're out. So that tiredness then caught up on her, which then just resulted in just little bits of attitude and sulking, and she's just getting worked up over little things. So I suppose that it's petty, but that's the only real law over Christmas. It happens.
We've definitely seen that. Like Friday, Fossey had a late night. She was out until about 10:30. Then on Saturday, she played me like an absolute fool. Obviously, you know about this, but Becky went out to go see a friend. She only lives like 5 minutes around the corner, so she took the baby to go see a couple of her friends. And she was out for a couple of hours. Fossey was in bed. I was downstairs trying to catch up on the most rubbish Adam Sandler film ever in the world.
Click.
Oh God, no! I think it was. I can't even remember what it was. It was about a wedding, not The Wedding Singer. Anyway, it wasn't very good. I wasn't really paying attention. But Fossey then came downstairs asking for mum, and I said, she's gone out. There's only me in. What can I do? So I ended up reading her another bedtime story. Tucked her back in. About 20 minutes later, I'm not tired. I'm not going to bed. I'll be honest with you. I was all parented out at that time. I was like, I don't care anymore. Don't care. Do what you want. have the house keys. I don't give a fuck. I tucked her in on the couch and I said, like, try and close your eyes, go down to sleep here. I'll put like Toy Story on and try and just like relax to that. She wasn't. Again, fell asleep about 10:30 when her mum came in. And Sunday, I mean, obviously she was really excited, but she still had a late night. And it took us, I think she was up from 9 o'clock today. Anyway, the point of the story is that today she's been a bit of a nightmare because I think it's caught up with her. She's managed to, I think, recognise the sulk face. She's learnt that from school. So we've seen a lot of the sulk face. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's a shit. It ruins it as well. Like, you could be having the best day, and then they're just an arsehole because they're tired. And then you try telling them it's because you're tired, and then they go tell you to go fuck yourself in their own little kid way. Go to sleep.
Yeah.
Have a nap.
We cannot tell you how much you would want this sleeping.
Yeah.
In 20 years' time or 30 years' time.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? Like, over the course of the next 10 years, they will fully embrace that sleep and then, flip to the other end of the spectrum where they're getting out of bed at dinner time every day because they can. Shout out to Callum.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, so I think that segues, at least for me, into New Year's resolutions and why this is the first episode that we're recording of the year. I think it'd be nice, even though when it goes out, people will be probably giving the New Year's resolutions up.
Yeah.
Have you set any New Year's resolutions?
We haven't set any resolutions per se. However, we are doing Veganuary. So this month, completely vegan diet. So no meat, no dairy, no fun stuff at all by the sounds of it. And to be fair, we did it last year. I think we did it for a bit of a challenge of ourselves. Like when we first met, we thought, oh, well, I can do that. Becky was talking about how she'd like to eat vegan, and I've always tried to have a few meat-free meals per week. So I was like, yeah, I could do that. So I think we did it in maybe October 2019. Sorry, 2020. And we kept it up. We kept it up for about 4 months in the end, apart from Christmas. And then we got it back in January, and we kept it up until we found out Becky was pregnant, actually. And then obviously we gave it up because, Becky needs a calcium, Becky needs a food. So, but yeah, we are going to try it to try and lose some Christmas weight, to try and lose some baby weight for both of us, because I've put on a lot of baby weight as well. Becky hasn't put on, well, I think she looks amazing, whatever.
Say this very carefully.
Yeah. Becky thinks she needs to lose a bit of weight, but she really doesn't.
Oh, well played.
Yeah. So we are just having a bit of a health kick. So Veganuary is something that we're going to do. What about you?
For me, it is better to make shorter goals, to not make big, wide-ranging promises. And I'm not saying what you've done is wrong. If you can stick to it, by all means, go for it. And I think that's just a big mistake people make, is that I'm going to give up beer for a month, and then by the end of it, they're craving it. And it's like anything. It's like a yo-yo diet then.
Yeah.
You stop something for a while, and then you go back into it both feet first. So we tried something similar last year, where rather than doing that, we just said meat-free Mondays. And we stuck to that for a good portion of the year. It was probably April, May before we sort of stopped doing that. And I appreciate that's only one day a week. But my point being, try and make smaller goals.
Yeah.
So for me, I sort of said that I want to, maybe I was just living off the high of what we experienced on New Year's Eve, but I wanted more of those nights. So I want, like sort of once a month at least, where we're doing one of those game nights. Just do that again, because I enjoyed it so much. And I think, we all did, to be fair.
Yeah. We try to, in the weekends, it's slightly different, but during the week, we try to eat at the table and we have no phones at the table, just so we can try and have a little bit of a chat throughout the, just to try and get that little family time there. And those 15, 20 minutes can be difficult, but they're also precious as well. I mean, can be difficult because, Flossie wants to be near a tablet or, Robin's striking or whatever. But it's just those 15, 20 minutes that makes, just having a chat and makes a difference. So I can fully understand a game night and how special that can be.
Yeah.
Good. So before we wrap up, there is one question that if anybody else is going through this same situation may want to know. Colic is quite a regular thing. It's quite a common thing with newborns. How I appreciate it's a long time ago, but how did you deal with that situation? Any kind of things you can help us with? Robin's definitely got a certain routine to her at the minute, and for a period within the night, she will non-stop cry. I'm just wondering if you've got any
secret tricks,
any remedies on colic, I guess, apart from the.
So we tried a lot of the medicinal things. So there's one that's quite a popular one over in the UK called Infocol.
Okay.
We tried that, and that worked, but had a knock-on effect of making Georgia constipated.
Brilliant.
So it was good for a day, and then she started crying for a different reason.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until we actually spoke to one of the midwives, and we said that she'd been struggling a bit with colic, so we gave her Infocol, and they sort of told us that could cause constipation, and then gave us some movements for that. So we stopped that quite quickly, but then moved to gripe water. I suppose everyone's different, every kid's different, so that's not always going to be the case. Some kids might be okay with Infocol, and that works. For us, it was gripe water, and that helped her. And luckily, it didn't last for that long. I'll probably will reinstate Podmin as an actual thing next week, and I'll bring a complete correction on. Or we'll go one better, and we'll bring the girls back, and we'll let you ask that fucking question again, because genuinely, I'm winging it here. I'm 90. I'm not 90s. I'm in the 80s% sure that what I've just told you is true.
We will table that for next week then.
Yeah. But I mean, again, the advice is just find what works for you. And that's the same for everyone. Try a few different things. See what works, see what doesn't work. Everyone's different. So there's no easy answer to that question. Unfortunately, there's no magical spell or potion like stop a colikiitis go with a Harry Potter one.
Yeah, there's no Harry Potter spell. I've looked.
It's
yeah.
Coliciosa, not coliciosa. Not bad. It's a Harry Potter joke.
And I've seen 3 Harry Potter films. I've never seen the rest.
Have you seen the first one?
I've seen the first 3.
Well, then you should have got my my reference there. The fact that you didn't suggests you either fell asleep or it just wasn't funny. Either way, fuck you.
And on that wonderful note, maybe that is a. Do you know what? I don't know if you can pick it up on the microphone, but the time of colic has now arrived. I think we'll end it for there, and I'll go and do some dad duties.
Let's everyone welcome back to 2022. Hopefully, this year is going to be great for everyone. Better than what the last couple of years has been.
Yeah.
We'll be back next week with more of the same.
Yeah. Again, Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you for still listening, and we'll see you next week.
See you next week.